In this alternate history, one senator's final argument for war doesn't just start a conflict, it pulls down the entire world economy with it.
This story is fictional. It's based on real events, but everything beyond the known facts is speculation. Our goal is to explore an alternate timeline, not to rewrite history, but to imagine what might have been.
Lindsey Graham spent nearly 30 years as one of the loudest voices in American foreign policy. He was a hawk in the truest sense, a senator who never met a conflict he didn't think American power could solve. Airstrikes, troop surges, maximum pressure on Iran, Russia, whoever else he judged an enemy of the United States. For years, fierce critic of Donald Trump. Then, gradually, he became one of Trump's closest allies and golfing partners, a man who had the president's ear when it counted. That combination made him unusually powerful. He wasn't just a senator from South Carolina. He was a channel, a way for the most aggressive instincts in Washington to reach the directly. When news broke on that Sunday in July 2026 that Graham had died at 71 while running for re-election, the tributes focused on his loyalty and his toughness. But the real story of Lindsey Graham was always about influence, and about what happens when a hawk gets exactly what he wants. So here is the question. What if Graham, instead of dying that summer, had lived just long enough to win one final argument? The argument he'd been making his entire career. What if, at a moment of crisis in the Persian Gulf, the president had listened to his friend and chosen the strike? Picture the room. A confrontation with Iran spirals after an attack on a tanker in the Strait of Hormuz. Generals lay out options. Some counsel restraint. But Graham is there by phone, calm and certain, telling the president that hesitation is weakness, that hitting Iran hard now will end the threat forever. It is the speech he has given 100 times. This time, it works. The president orders a decapitation strike on Iran's Revolutionary Guard leadership and its nuclear facilities. The first hours look like a triumph. American bombers hit their targets. Iranian command sites go dark. In Washington, cable news runs footage of explosions over Natanz, and Graham calls it the moment America finally stopped apologizing for its own strength. Then the response comes, and it does not follow the script. Iran does not collapse. It fires back with everything in reserve. Ballistic missiles rain down on Saudi oil facilities and on U.S. bases in Iraq and Qatar. Hezbollah opens a second front against Israel from Lebanon, and off Yemen the Houthis close the shipping lanes. Within 2 days, 3 separate wars are burning at once, and American soldiers are dying in numbers the country hasn't seen in a generation. The Strait of Hormuz, the artery through which of the world's oil flows, shuts down completely. Iranian mines and anti-ship missiles turn it into a killing zone. Overnight, oil prices don't climb. They explode. A barrel that traded near $80 hits $300. Gasoline in the United States passes $11 a gallon when stations can get it at all. Lines stretch for miles. Rationing begins. The economic shock moves faster than any army. Airlines ground fleets they can no longer afford to fuel. Trucking slows, and with it the flow of food to grocery stores. In the suburbs, shelves go empty. Factories that depend on global shipping halt production because the parts aren't coming. The stock market loses 1/3 of its value in a week, pension funds evaporate, and millions of people who had nothing to do with any of this watch their savings and their jobs disappear, and the war refuses to stay contained. Russia, seeing an opening while America is pinned down in the Gulf, presses its advantage in Eastern Europe. China moves warships toward Taiwan, betting that a distracted, overstretched United States cannot fight everywhere at once. Suddenly, the country that was supposed to project strength is stretched across 3 continents, running low on the very munitions it just spent bombing Iran. At home, the panic turns inward. Fuel riots break out in 12 cities. Governors call up the National Guard, not to fight a foreign enemy, but to protect gas stations and warehouses from their own citizens. The president, who days earlier stood in front of cameras promising a swift and total victory, now faces a nation that feels betrayed and afraid. The men who urged the strike are nowhere to be found on television. Months later, the world that emerges is smaller, poorer, and far more dangerous. The Middle East is a ruin of shattered states and refugee columns numbering in the millions. Oil markets never fully recover, and the global economy settles into a long, grinding depression. NATO fractures who should have done what. Taiwan's fate hangs by a thread. Tens of thousands of American service members are dead or wounded, and the trust that once let allies follow America into a crisis is gone, perhaps for good. Graham built his entire career on a single belief: that America, applied boldly and without apology, could bend the world into a safer shape. In the real timeline, he died a senator, mourned and remembered. That belief never fully tested at the highest stakes. But in the timeline where his final argument won, the hawk got his war, and the war got everything else.
In this world, history went one way. But here, we ask what could have happened. If you want more alternate timelines and government what-ifs, subscribe, comment your theory, and stay tuned. This is State of What If.